Hi, I'm back. I felt like I needed to make another YouTube video because I made a comment in my first video where I said reading from my book is boring, and that makes it sound like my book is boring, and I don't think my book is boring. So I am going to read from my book. The problem is that I'm looking down when I read, and when an actor or an actress, when they're performing a part, they're looking up and they have their lines memorized. So it's not that my book is boring, it's that I'm looking down when I'm reading. But I'm going to try to make this interesting. It's not I feel like I need to compensate because I'm making it sound like I'm a boring writer, and I didn't mean it that way at all. This is from chapter 20 of Silver Skies, part 2 of 2, and I'm going to try not to make this my reading of it boring. I really need to take acting lessons. The next day, Dora decided to visit her at school rather than go to her home, and I only have 10 minutes. Just in case she may be married to Keene, so he'd wait until Monday to see her. He knew she worked at Beaufort High School. He had to visit her at school tomorrow before he lost her forever. No more would he take chances to lose her to Keene Horton. One look out the window the next morning convinced him if he ever wanted to see Brianna, he'd better do it now. The walk to Beaufort lulled him. Cicadas buzzed. It didn't matter that the water went to mid-cap at time. Though the air drenched him like a sauna bath, thoughts of her brought him a serenity he hadn't felt in a long while. A cool draft brushed his face and soothed him. Funny how thoughts of Brianna could lift him from life's darkest horrors. Lakes in the street reflected the cumulus towers from the sky, which threw and illuminated streaks at him and rumbled. A toad hopped across a dry section of sidewalk. He chuckled. Thoughts of her brought back laughter. Closer to her and to Beaufort High he came, and closer to peace and happiness. Maybe someday he could walk these streets with her without shame. Didn't she walk this same way to see him once? Those seemed simpler days. Did she still teach in last year's room? Yes, that free-flowing hair. She wore a Victorian dress and lifted it to show pantaloons. She laughed to herself. In her presence, the pain from Stephen's death and Isaac's torture faded. Her class had dismissed early, and for some reason she lingered about her classroom afterwards. Petrified by her possible rejection, he stayed and watched her for an hour. He waited for her several rooms away. His jeans dripped. His heart palpitated in expectation, not sure how she'd react when she noticed him. When he heard her skirts rustle and the skirmish of her feet, adrenaline surged in him. Lightning streaked across the sky. Rain pattered. How good to be near her again. Brianna left her room and her eyes landed on him and widened in astonishment. Dor! What are you doing here? Did you know we might have a flood today, and you braved this weather to see me? She didn't send him away. Courage infused him. Maybe she had married Keene, but didn't Keene say she had quit her job at this school? And she was still here? And where was Keene? Brianna's dress of laces, pastels, and cotton highlighted her charm and brought out the glow of her face. In her presence, the terror of his life eased. As if she sensed he needed her, she held out her hand to him. He took it. Like a blanket, relief spread over him. The water rose and crept closer to the classroom. Rain came down in sheets. Wind blew their hair flat against their faces. Whatever we decide, we'd better do it now. Do you have something else to wear besides that dress? I have a change of clothes in my car. How long have you been here? Longer than I should. I wasn't sure you'd be glad to see me. Give me your keys. I'll get your clothes for you. In her purse, she fumbled for her keys and jingled them out. My clothes are in a bag in the front seat. He grabbed the keys and ran with a limp. Why did his leg have to give away his heart? Water came to his knees and rose higher as he headed for her car. When he came within view of her Toyota Camry and saw the water sight around it, he gave up and slugged back to her. Brianna watched him with mouth open. Dor, don't be crazy. Come back here and stay with me. He trudged back to her. Sorry, if I opened the door, your car's interior would have been ruined. Why'd you wait at the school so long? You may not be able to get out of here now. How did you know I waited here so long? I've been here at least an hour watching you. It makes me happy just to watch you. Brianna's eyes penetrated him. Also, I wasn't sure you wanted to see me. Didn't have the nerve to introduce myself. It's funny. She seemed contemplative and bowed her head and paused, stopped what she was doing. I couldn't leave right away. I just felt like I needed to stay here a while. Maybe I sensed you were here. Do you think we can make it to my house? Either we stay here or we can risk going to your place. The way to my house is flooded. This is my exercise outfit, and I'm gonna stand up when I read and see if I can make it a little more interesting. Ah, okay. Let's see. Either we stay here or we can risk going to your place. The way to my house is flooded. Because this school is on low ground, I don't think we should stay here. Dora gripped Brienne and ventured with her into the waters. A swift current seized her and she slipped. He gripped her. She sighed, but seemed to relax in his arm. I wish we'd left right away. That dress must be dreadful for you. At least we're together now. Her head purred into his chest. He knew now she hadn't married Keenan, determined that hell or high water he'd win her back and would do nothing to ruin their future together. Look, a rubber raft. He faced Brianna. Hold on to this tree. Dora lurched for the raft. Got it. He climbed inside and his hands paddled toward Brianna. She reached for his arms. He grabbed her and pulled her into the raft. Brightness came over her face. Let me help you push this thing. She broke off some branches from a nearby tree and gave some to him, and then she and Dora shoved the branches through the water to propel the raft toward her home. I just wanted to read you from my book because I don't think it's boring, but I'm going to go a little bit further. Let's go ahead to this one right here. I read that tract you gave me in the hospital. He sat down. Oh yes, that tract. Beside him she sat and placed her hand on his knee and gazed into his eyes. Your faith needs to be strengthened. You mean about what it means to believe in Jesus? Yes. And who will teach me? Her head shook in disgust. That's terrible about Stephen and Isaac. Jesus will show you how to deal with this. There's a reason. He rested his head on her thigh. Will you teach me the reason? You said you wanted to be a missionary once. If I hadn't imagined your faith and your faith in me, I would have gone mad. He imagined the feel of her fingers through his hair, but now her hands remained at her side. She seemed disturbed by something. Anyways, this is from Silver Skies, my novel, and I just don't think this book is boring. And I wanted to compensate for saying that it was. And I'm just, here's another one here. Then he told her about the funeral and how Rachel died, and saw a flame flicker in her eyes as he spoke, and noticed in her eyes that her forgiveness toward him transformed into a passion to drown him with love and comfort. His heart raced. He wanted to make an excuse to go to the kitchen and bumped into the channel changer. A love-making scene from some movie flicked on. Kisses and embraces floated in the air. Images of lovers entangled in each other's arms scintillated his brain. I forget how you pronounce that. The coffee cake smelled like caresses. Her soft hair allured him. Close enough to see her eyes. Okay, there's my book. It's not a boring book, folks. It's not a boring book. And I had to make up for saying that it was. And now I'm going to go before I go past my 10 minutes. And I hope I read it in an interesting manner. I tried.